Okay, here you are.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Good.
Yes, it's about 10 p.m. here in London, but I'm glad you were able to
Okay.
join in today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Listen, we got a couple of minutes. We got about 20 minutes to go in and let's have I won't hold you long. You won't hold me long. Let's have a great time.
Yeah, no, I mean, one of the things about my show is that we've got an international audience, and they've seen guests through the 90s talk about their journey, because not everyone who can sing, can sign a record deal, has hit records, and so we want to find out how you started off and how you managed to break the mold and stuff. But I have an international audience, and it's always great to know where you were born and raised.
Wow, great. You know what? Thank you first. I want to just say thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it. And I'm definitely grateful to be here. And you know what? As far as when it comes to myself getting started in the industry, I was 15 years old. A family friend took me. I'm from New Jersey.
Okay,
Um,
New Jersey.
yeah,
Makes
I'm from
sense.
the U.S. Yes, yes. And so with that, being that a family friend took me to a studio one day. You know, I was a young girl who loved to sing, grew up in the church, and for the most part, it was just like Michael Jackson was everything to me. So it's just like, I'm thinking, I'm looking at myself. I'm a part of the Jackson family. They just didn't know. I'm Michelle Jackson. So with all of that said, a family friend took me to the studio one day in Plainfield, New Jersey, and I went, and it was my first time ever recording. He told my mom that he was going to take me, and I went to the studio. And mind you, I was there all night. I knew nothing about the studio, but recording, and you got to take over and over and over
Wow.
again. Certain things that they're doing, you just thinking like when you hear music, that it's just something that just happens and you just record one time, but that's not so sometimes, especially when it's your first time being in such a studio. And I go to the studio, he brings me back home with the song. Now I finished the song, and the
Okay.
name of the song was called Dangerous Relationships, right? I'm 15 years old. So when I get home, my mom is upset and I'm about to get a whooping, for coming in the
Wow.
house late. And he's
Okay.
like, no, 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 Miss Judy, Miss Judy. Miss Judy, we was at the studio, and so my mom hears the song and she loves the song. And from there, what happens is that I start going to the studio, and at the time I didn't know Keisha and Kima, and they were actually going to the studio and working with the same gentleman. And upon us being in the studio together, we would say hi or whatever. And maybe about 2 weeks later, he called, and I didn't know Kim and Keisha was looking for a third member of their group because they had another, I believe they had another young lady before myself, and it didn't work out. But mind you, I'm at the studio, and they called me on the phone, and they was just like, Pamela, the producer that I was working with, Norman Bradley, he was like, the girls want to do a group with you, because we, like I said, we saw each other in passing. I thought Keisha was
Yeah.
cool. I thought Kima was, I didn't care for Kima at the time because, I was a little knucklehead at the time. I was a little knucklehead, and I thought she was bougie, which she was not. It was just me being a knucklehead as a 15-year-old kid, right? And so with all of that said, we got on the phone, we're talking, and they was like, do you want to be in a group? And I was like, no. And I was just like, because, I'm looking at it as I'm a solo act, I'm a young kid, I don't know. And so he talks to me more on the phone, and they're on the phone, and I finally just say, all right, yeah, I'll be in it. And pretty much from that moment, we met. Kim and Keisha had knew a couple of guys in the industry, and they heard some music that we did together. They took us to a woman by the name of Kathy Dukes, and when we met Kathy Dukes, come to find out, she never told us in the beginning that Puff Daddy at the time, that was his name. He was actually the godfather of her son. And so, she would have us doing different shows, and she was grooming us and all of these things. And then one day she says to us that, because she would have us in her car, and she
Yeah.
would be like, get out and sing, she get out. And you looking like, oh my goodness. And she's like, we were singing for people, jumping out of her car, just going singing for people. And we sung for CL Smooth, and we sung for I believe their dancer Glenn. We were singing for just pretty much everybody. And one day she's like, I'm gonna take you to Puff Daddy. And so, we went to Puff Daddy at the time, and he came down on the elevator of the Hit Factory in New York. And so with all of that being said, we sung for him. As soon as the elevator doors closed, it was just like we was all in his face, going in. And it was just like, you know, he kind of was just like a little leaned back a little bit, and he was just watching us. And we got off the elevator. He walked out. We followed him to a lounge in the Hit Factory. And then from there, we sung for him the records that we had with the producer that we were working with at the time. And we finished, and he, you know, his face was kind of just like he didn't look impressed at all. And he asked us our names. And then from there, it was just like, all right, we told him our names. And he was like, all right, thank y'all for coming out. If he was like, if you ever got into an argument or whatever, could y'all still work together in the studio? You know, we was like, yes. And he's like, all right, thank y'all for coming out. And it was just like, he hated us, you know, so you kind of just leaving with like, you just like feeling some sort of kind of way. And it was just like, it was hurtful, you know. And I remember, you know, you a little teared up, I believe at that time, you know, I'm a teared up, I'm a 15-year-old kid. And it's just like, you know, but 5 o'clock that next morning, he called and he told Kathy, he said, don't take those girls anywhere. I want to sign them. So it was just like, he signed us. And it was just like, at the time he was in the transition, still up at Uptown. And it was Craig Mack, Biggie in total. And he left there, and Bad Boy came about, and that we were his first 3 acts. It was Craig first, then it was Biggie, then it was Total. And you know, Puff was so dope and so creative, to where it was just like everybody was a family package. You know, everybody was on everybody's record, and that's how, you know, Kima and Keisha's voice was on Juicy. You know, but they said Total, but it was Kima and Keisha who did the record. And so it was just like Puff knew how to put an imprint on everybody. And then when it came to remix of One More Chance, that was my voice. You know, Faith and Mary did the original. And then here you know, Pamela I was doing more vocally, but it was all 3 of us. It was myself, Kima, and Keisha. And it was just like, I had an opportunity for my vocals to shine on the remix of One More Chance. And then it was just so many things. And then next thing you know, here we come, 1995.
Oh no, but before you get there, because one of the things that, because you have a very different persona, and I wanted to find out what was your influence when you came out and when you started off, because you wanted to go solo. So who was around at that point that you were looking and saying, this person is in the kind of lane that I was looking to be as a solo artist?
You know what? I would say it wasn't really anybody around. It was just really truly all God. Like I can't say it any other kind of way, because you know what? I was a kid in school. I just loved to sing. I love when, you know, you in the choir and people cheering you on in church, you know, and it's just like, and that was the highlight of church, because, you know, I didn't really have a relationship with God back then. It was just pretty much, I just like to sing, and I like to sing in the choir, and I like to see the senior choir sing. And it was just so many things that I just loved about music. And then, you know, I was the girl walking down the hallway in school with her headphones on, or I was the girl, you know, I'm getting in trouble because I shouldn't have had them on. And it's just like, I'm singing down the hallway, I'm singing in class. And it was just like, I told my mom at a young age, I was like, I don't want to go to college. I want to sing. And my mom was like, okay, you know, she's like, all right, baby, you know. And she was just like, she was there for me with the things that I wanted to do. And it was just like I said, it was all God. Like it was such a setup from him, to where it was just like, I had nothing to do with it. All I had was a dream. You know, all I had was something in my heart that I knew that was burning on the inside of me. And when I saw Michael Jackson, when I saw, you know, the ones that I liked as far as the music, you know, listen, in our home, you know, we listened to Stephanie Mills. My mom listened to, you know, on the 8-track, she listened to Smokey Robinson. She listened to the Temptations, you know, and even though it was like those songs, I didn't understand them as a kid, I still just was like loving music. Music was everything to me.
Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, but most importantly, to press the notification bell so that you can be notified when we do have a new interview. Loads to come, but thanks a lot for watching.